Yo, how's it going, everybody? It's MacklinGaming, and we are officially halfway through the year 2024, which is crazy to think about how fast time flies. I remember when everyone was talking about 2023 coming up as being the best year in video game releases maybe ever, comparative to like 2007, 2004, 1998. But now we're halfway through 2024, and there have already been some really banger releases this year. Everything from Pal World and Helldivers 2, which took over like mainstream gaming and pop culture, to, big time releases like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Dragon's Dogma 2. Nintendo's had some remakes come out as well, nothing huge first party. But there have really been so many great releases so far this year that I wanted to rank my top 5 favorite games of 2024 that I've played this year. So let me make that clear. I'm not going to have any games on this list that I didn't play because I don't have an opinion really on them except for watching people stream them or something. But I'm just going to give you my top 5 favorite games that I played in the first half of 2024. So let's get into it. First up, this is my only Nintendo Switch game on the list, but it also came out on all other platforms. But it's an awesome little Metroidvania called Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Super cool game. Came out in January, way back in the beginning of the year. And I remember having a great time playing through this game as a Metroidvania. It's like 2D camera style, but definitely 3D models in the game. And you're a guy named Sargon who's really badass with his swords, and the sword combat is super fun in this game. It's just an awesome game with great abilities that you learn, like almost Tears of the Kingdom level abilities, where in this game you can like freeze yourself in time and then continue on fighting, and then press a button and quickly revert yourself back in time to where you were before. And they use that awesome mechanic like in combat. You can use it, and also to get up to like new parts of the map and new parts of the level that you couldn't reach before. So they integrate these abilities like into the gameplay and into the map as well as the combat. So Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown comes in at number 5 for me. So coming in at number 4 is Dragon's Dogma 2. I didn't actually buy a physical. I just got it on Steam. But it's an awesome, almost a remake, kind of like a spiritual successor to the original Dragon's Dogma, which is a open world fantasy game, similar to Skyrim or Elden Ring, except I would say maybe in between both of those in terms of difficulty. It's not as hard as Elden Ring by any means, but it definitely has some bosses in it that'll crush you. And what I really like about Dragon's Dogma 2 is like the freedom of the exploration. And you can head into a forest and there might be like an ogre or a cyclops living there, and all of a sudden you're in a boss battle against them. It's not just like a fixed arena boss battle. It's just you're just out in the wilderness. And you can use your environment to like get the upper hand. You can jump up on a cliff, and when the Cyclops comes through, you can jump onto its back, like from the cliff, instead of trying to climb up its leg. And it's like crazy how you can scale the monsters and the bosses in this game. So when night comes, it gets super dark out, and you have to like find camp or pull out a torch and be careful. Like different enemies will come out at night. So it's just got a really cool, realistic day-night cycle, and the exploration is great in this game. However, I feel like the questing was a little too vague for me. I know people enjoy that. It was almost like Elden Ring. I had to Google pretty much every like side quest. It's just like the quest markers didn't pop up in the right spot on the map, or they didn't pop up at all. You just had to like go talk to someone in the city randomly, figure out what to do next. But that didn't take away from my fun. I played like 40 hours of the game, got to Batal, the desert region. I didn't beat the game yet. It's a very long game, but that's why Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to come in at number 4 on my list. All right, now we're getting into the good stuff. Top 3 video games of the first half of 2024. It's crazy. This could be like a whole year's worth of top 5 games here, but this is only the first half, which is very exciting about 2024. But coming in at a solid number 3, Stellar Blade for the PS5. Yeah, this came out of nowhere to be my top 3 game of the year so far. This is an incredible action game. I wouldn't really call it an RPG. It has some elements to it, but it's really just an awesome action game with the best soundtrack of the year so far. I will definitely be voting for this game best soundtrack, even over Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or like anything like that. This is a unbelievable, like, electronic meets jazz fusion soundtrack. It's so cool. When I first heard the first track of the opening level that you're in, after like the beginning tutorial, like the first actual mission, you know, it was incredible. I was like, this is nuts. This track has like vocals in the background, you know. It wasn't just like a music track that had only instrumentals. It was like a full track with a beautiful vocal piece, and I thought it was awesome. So the whole soundtrack ended up turning out that way. It was just every song was really atmospheric, super ambient, and awesome soundtrack. But yeah, the monsters are cool in Stellar Blade. I mean, the combat is tight. It was such a polished game for being 60 frames per second. And yeah, everyone kind of lost their minds over the super hot, you know, main character. But this company did a fantastic job, I think, with like fashion and style. I'm not even a big fashionista or anything, but I could tell like her outfits were pretty slick, and you know, the style, the game just like oozed style and swagger. So Stellar Blade coming in at number 3 for me. All right, so now we're up to the top 2 games of 2024 so far, and this was super hard. I'm almost making like a last second decision here of which one to put, you know, first and which one to put second. I could easily interchange them, and really, I think I'm gonna have to make a tough decision here. And at number 2, I'm gonna put Elden Ring DLC. It's not just the game Elden Ring. I don't have the DLC. I don't think there's physical copies of that, but the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is so mind-blowing that it's a DLC. It's almost a full-length game. It's incredible the way they've taken Elden Ring to the next level. You can see this is what Miyazaki and them have been working on over the last couple years since Elden Ring came out. And what you're seeing is like glorious, you know, interweaving open world maps. It's just a crazy new area to explore. You know, it's like a very dense map. You think you've explored everything in this area, but like there'll be something above you on a plateau, or there'll be like a cave underneath. And so just this one little section of the map can actually have like multiple layers to it, from like top to bottom. There's stuff to find and bosses to kill. Incredibly difficult bosses in this game. If you have an endgame character in Elden Ring, level 150, that's almost not going to be enough in this DLC. You have to find like extra items, like DLC exclusive upgrade items called Scadutree fragments, and that is what helps you get stronger in this game so you can handle the maddening bosses. But you know, I'm getting pretty far. I'm almost at the end. There's a few bosses I haven't killed yet, and I don't want to spoil too much about them, but you know, I'm working on one right now that I feel like I'm going to be stuck on for a while. So it's super hard, but it's beautiful. The visuals, the art style, Shadow of the Erdtree is absolutely beautiful. So the only reason I'm keeping it at number 2 is because it's a DLC and it's not even a full game, even though it could compare to a full game. It's like, I got to give it to this other game that came out as a full release. And so that brings me to the number 1 game on my list. So my number 1 game of 2024 in the first half so far is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It was an incredible experience playing this game. You know, I played Crisis Core, I played Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, like leading up to this, and then bam, I played 100 hours, a little bit more than that, of Rebirth. And what an experience just going through with this gang of characters that are like iconic at this point and memorable. But for me, this was like the first time I experienced this like middle section of the game. You know, I honestly hadn't gone back and ever played the original game. You know, this game caused me to go back and play the original Final Fantasy VII, which I got on my Switch, you know, the one from PlayStation 1. So I have a video about that on my channel. You can go find that. in what I think about the original. But I was so into the Final Fantasy VII universe at the time of playing this game back in like February and March. This one for me is still got to be number one. It just had an awesome storyline with like branching paths of the story where you would focus in on like each of the characters, Barrett, Tifa, Aerith, of course, Clouds. The way they created this open world system, for me, that hit all the right notes. I think like it wasn't the, greatest open world game ever, but I think they did a great job using the open world elements in a Final Fantasy game, which is like new for them, but it didn't take away from the game at all for me. I think it actually enhanced the experience for me, like the exploration. I enjoyed doing a lot of the world intel stuff, and it just made each region of the map really fun to explore, like Cosmo Canyon or Gungaga, the jungle region with like beautiful music. So Final Fantasy VII was an absolute journey, and the best part is it's not over yet because we still have part 3 to come in a couple years from now. So what are your guys' top 5 games of 2024 so far? That's right, you didn't hear me talk about Helldivers 2 or Palworld. I didn't play those this year. I watch people play them. Those aren't really my kind of games, but they looked pretty cool from what I watched on stream. So let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.